Hello again, Metro Fire, and welcome to the next in a series of training videos for the Fire Company Inspection Program. As we move through the points outlined in this video, the California fire codes that pertain to what is being shown and/or described will be displayed at the bottom of the screen. Addressing. Address and suite numbers are required to be a minimum of 6 inches in height and in a color that contrasts with the background upon which it is placed. The address must be clearly visible from the street. If the occupancy has a back door, this must also display the address and suite number as appropriate. Fire extinguishers. Annual maintenance checks are required and must be documented on the fire extinguisher service tag. Here we have 2 examples. This one is the annual service tag you are looking for. You may also see it as a sticker. The date punched or blacked out is the date the extinguisher was serviced. The fire extinguisher, provided it is showing an adequate charge, is considered good for 1 year from that date. This ring is a 6-year internal inspection hydro testing service tag. Its inspection is beyond the scope of this program. Fire extinguishers must be a minimum of 2A, 10 BC in size. The furthest allowable travel distance to a fire extinguisher is 75 feet. In multi-floor occupancies, this standard has to be met on all floors. Fire extinguishers need to be either securely mounted to appropriately sized hangers or brackets, or in a cabinet designed to house them. If the cabinet is required to be locked, there must be a ready means of access. For example, a glass or scored clear plastic front cabinet with a means of breaking the glass or plastic. Or this one that has a lever with clear instructions. If the fire extinguisher is not readily visible, clear signage indicating its location is required. Fire extinguishers must be mounted so the top of the extinguisher is between 3.5 and 5 feet from the floor. Electrical. The door into an electrical control panel room shall be marked with a plainly visible and legible sign stating electrical room. The area in front of the electrical panel will have a minimum of 30 inches of clear space at all times. Relocatable power taps shall be of the polarized or grounded type. That's one of these. The power tap must be equipped with overcurrent protection and be UL listed. If used, they must be directly connected to a permanently installed receptacle and can't extend through walls and ceilings or under doors and floor coverings. Using multi-plug adapters, such as a cube adapter, unfused plug strips, or any other device is prohibited. If it doesn't have overcurrent protection and has multiple plugs, it can't be used, ever. Extension cords and flexible cords cannot be a substitute for permanent wiring. You can use an extension cord for something you are using temporarily, but you can't use one to reach a permanently placed electrical device. You can use a power tap with a longer cord, provided the device has been designed for this use and has been UL listed. Or you can install a permanent plug where it's needed. Open junction boxes and open wiring splices are prohibited. All switches and electrical outlets must have approved covers. Lastly, no combustible material can be stored in boiler rooms, mechanical rooms, or electrical equipment rooms. Fire lanes. A fire lane has to have a minimum width of 20 feet and a minimum height of 13 feet 6 inches. If the lane is less than 28 feet wide, there is no parking allowed on either side. From 28 to 35 feet wide, parallel parking is allowed on one side. A width of 35 feet or greater will allow parallel parking on both sides of the lane. All raised curbs in a fire lane shall be painted an acceptable red color and marked with the words "No Parking, Fire Lane," lettered in white. Letters must be 3 inches high with a 3/4 inch stroke. Marking must be 25 feet on center, either on the face or the top of the curb. If signage is used in place of red curbs, they must be installed within 3 feet of each end of said red zone and placed a maximum of 50 feet apart thereafter. Exiting. The following section has several examples of approved hardware. These are examples only and do not show the full range of what is allowed. If what you find during your inspections is superficially different, but operates under the same principles and meets the same standards of what is shown, it is also approved. Exit doors must open without a key or special knowledge. Approved hardware. The exits must be readily distinguishable and cannot be concealed by curtains, drapes, or, well, anything. Self-releasing, also referred to as no knowledge or one-action hardware, provides single-motion exiting when the interior lever is turned. Here we have one of our at-bay man doors outfitted with simple self-releasing hardware. The interior side of the lock will always turn, providing single-action opening. In this example, the exterior side is always locked. This is not a requirement. Here is an example with a keypad on the exterior side. What makes this or any other hardware in the category acceptable from the perspective of the California Fire Code is that it provides single motion exiting when the interior lever is turned. Interconnected single locking hardware. As you can see, this door has both a lever and a thumb turn deadbolt for enhanced security. These two elements are interconnected. Pushing down on the lever opens both. This represents the only time a thumb-turn deadbolt is permissible in a business or mercantile occupancy interconnected to a self-releasing mechanism. Interconnected multi-point locking hardware. On the right, we have an older door with its hardware exposed. On the left, we have a newer door outfitted with interconnected multi-point locking hardware. You just can't see it. The top and the bottom both have locking mechanisms. They are interconnected and, in this instance, released by panic hardware. Which brings us to panic hardware. A door latching assembly that releases the latch upon application of force in the direction of egress. Simply put, the door opens when you push on it. Installation of additional locks or latching devices on doors equipped with panic hardware is prohibited, with a single exception. The front or main door or single set of doors of an occupancy can have a double-keyed deadbolt. This is the only instance doors may have multiple non-interconnected locks. If this option is used, it is required to have a sign above the door that states, "This door to remain unlocked during business hours." Security doors or screens. Using a security screen on the outside of a door, as is shown, is permitted. However, There can be no latching or locking hardware on said security door. Additionally, the security door cannot be mounted on the interior of the occupancy. Electromagnetic locks. Doors that are permitted to be electromagnetically locked must default to unlocked with the loss of power. Gates. If there is a gate in the exit path, like this one, it has to conform to the same standards as any other exit door. It must open without a key or special knowledge. Furthermore, if this door has panic hardware, then the gate needs it as well. If the doors in the exit path have panic hardware, then every subsequent door is required to have the same. Exit signs. Exit and exit access doors must be marked with approved exit signs readily visible from any direction of travel. It is mandatory for the path of egress travel to exits and within exits to be marked by readily visible signs, clearly indicating the direction of travel when the exit or path of egress is not immediately visible. Exit signs are not required in Group B and M occupancies with only one exit door. Combustible flammable liquids. Combustible or flammable liquids used for maintenance and/or the operation of equipment can be stored on site. However, if the total amount exceeds 10 gallons, it must be stored in a flammable combustible liquids cabinet, like this one. If combustibles are stored outside, materials shall not be located within 10 feet of a lot line. Storage. Storage of materials in buildings must be orderly. Storage of combustible materials shall be separated from heaters or heating devices by distance or shielding so ignition cannot occur. Stacked material must be stable and maintain 2 feet or more below the ceiling in non-sprinklered areas of buildings, or a minimum of 18 inches below sprinkler head deflectors in sprinklered areas of buildings. Fixed fire protection systems. Fire sprinkler and fire alarm systems must be maintained and serviced in accordance with Title 19's prescribed time intervals. Dumpsters and containers with an individual capacity of 40.5 cubic feet or more shall not be stored inside buildings or placed within 5 feet of combustible walls, openings, or roof eave lines. Control valves for fire sprinkler systems must be secured in the open position with a breakaway padlock. Unobstructed access to fire hydrants shall be maintained at all times. A 3-foot space must be kept clear around the circumference of fire hydrants. Knock. Low level or a green knock switch and a click-to-enter device are required on all new automatic vehicle access gates. On older automatic vehicle gates, there may only be a knock switch. This is acceptable. All locked manual vehicle gates must have a Knox padlock, regardless of age. A low-level Knox box is required on all locked pedestrian gates on the perimeter of the property. High-level or a red Knox box is required on all buildings that have fire suppression systems of any kind or a fire alarm. The Knox box shall be mounted 5 feet above the finished door landing.